How has college affected your depression?
So it's affected it in both positive and negative ways because a lot of what I feel with my depression is loneliness, and in college it's hard to be alone. So that aspect has kind of gone away, but it's also hard just being thrust into like a new environment and just like having and just a completely different like shift um and I have to like kind of like I have a different schedule and it's just hard for my brain to adjust. But like as I've been here, I've gotten used to it. And I'm starting to like get more comfortable. But I think it's almost gotten it's honestly the best it's been in a while since I've been here.
So I'd say that the biggest way that college impacted my depression was the drinking aspect. Because the social dynamics that I had in high school and in college were like a lot of the same stuff. Like I was a super awkward kid with like no sense of who I was or a sense of self, which were like a pretty big side effect of my anxiety and bipolar disorder. But the first time I'd ever been away, college was the first time I'd ever been away from home. And our parents were pretty strict at the time, so I was under lock and key a lot in high school. And then I got to college, and it was like, oh, no one's watching me. So I drank a lot because it was the first time I pretty much like ever could. I would like black out pretty easily, especially if I hadn't eaten, like well that day. And I was drinking hard liquor, and that mixed with my antidepressants, which, isn't good. And that kind of actually carried over sort of into my post-grad life too. And it wasn't really into 24, like when I was like 24 years old and I was in serious therapy, that I started to get that kind of thing under control. How has depression affected college for you?
So, mostly what I've felt is just like extreme exhaustion and just been like really anxious, and because of that I've just said like, okay, it's gonna be better for me to just not go to class, which isn't the best solution, but it is in the moment. I have 4.5-hour studio classes, and I had to miss one of those one time, which is basically missing 2. For the most part, it's been the sadness I can manage. It's just like the side effects and like the motivation too. It's hard to like get the motivation to like actually do work, and I know that's a problem for everyone, but it's just 10 times worse with depression because all you want to do is just like lay there in bed.
Did you find it hard to control certain aspects of your depression in college?
I guess it kind of was hard to control my depression living on my own. I mean, this was before like I knew I had bipolar disorder. So I was just on like normal antidepressants, and they like really weren't fixing the issue. And I didn't like that I had to take them at all. So I kind of just like wouldn't take them. And then, like there are withdrawal side effects when you don't take some antidepressants. The ones that I was on and am on, if you don't take them, it's really bad side effects, which kind of had an impact on school. I mean, because withdrawal symptoms, they kind of make your moods pretty inconsistent.
I think so, definitely, because a lot of what I do, I try to like do yoga and meditate and stuff, and it's very difficult when you have 3 other people living in a room. And I don't know, just having that like privacy is really important for my like headspace, and I'm okay with like living with them. It's just if I want to meditate, I don't want to meditate with like two other people in the room. It's really distracting. And so because of that, I've been like putting it off and putting it off. So yeah, and it's also hard with my schedule. I don't really have times, like consistent times to work out, which is really important to get that like extra like dopamine like, rush and just to balance out my break.
Around the town a bit as memories swam in my head. I had a strange feeling in the pit of my stomach, but I did not want to.
I think, if you're depressed and you're in college, and you're a normal kid, you kind of talk about it. You talk to someone, you talk to a friend, you talk to a parent. But, when you have bipolar disorder and you're depressed in college, I kind of felt like I didn't have anyone. And I really was really bad at taking care of myself. It's definitely because of the disorder and how chronic it is, and like this whole Instagram self-care movement that everyone is loving these past few years, like that wasn't happening in college. So like I didn't realize until like I was like 25, 24 how important like sleep, exercising, eating, things like that were, and cutting back on my alcohol. So yeah, I really wasn't good at curbing my depression.
Do you think college can worsen depression, and have you experienced this?
Yes, I do believe it could worsen it for some people, especially if you're not ready or you start to develop it in college, then it's a completely new thing you have to learn how to deal with. I could see that making it very difficult college, which is very stressful but also very fun and rewarding time, could easily just really crush you. But for me, it hasn't, because some parts of mine have gotten better. Again, just always being, I can easily surround myself with people that I like a lot, that I feel comfortable with, and it's also made me a lot better at managing it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it could. I think there are a lot of kids, I think that happens to a lot of kids. I feel like that's pretty common. They go from, having a really, really great time in high school and being in this sort of environment that they're very familiar with and very comfortable in. And then, they get to college and everything is different. And I think it depends on the kid. I think it depends on the school. I have a professor in grad school right now who likes to say, it depends. It depends on the person. It depends on the college the person goes to. It depends on the mental health status of the person. It depends on the environment that the student was coming from. There are a lot of factors that can factor into someone's mental health and depression. But I definitely think it can significantly worsen. For me, it kind of stayed the same, just because I had bipolar disorder.